right, everyone, we are now joined by today's NASCAR Cup Series pole winner here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's Michael McDowell, driver of the number 34 Front Row Motorsports Ford. If you have a question for Michael, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless microphone to you. But first, Michael, if you would just start us off by just kind of taking us through your lap out there. What did you learn today that you can take into tomorrow?
Yeah, I think, coming into this this weekend, we sat on the pole in the spring race early in the season and, felt that pressure to come back here and have another shot at it. So, we executed our plan well today. As far as what it gives you as an indication for tomorrow, I don't think it's a huge indicator of anything other than, we have the same speed we did here last time. And, the good thing for us was in the race, our car raced really well. And, sometimes you'll trim them out and you'll get a lot of speed and then you'll get into the race and it'll be just a handful. But we led a lot of laps, had a really fast car. I thought we had one of the better driving cars. So don't feel like we're compromising anything going into the race with the speed that we have. And same, a couple weeks ago in Daytona, I felt like we had one of the fastest cars there. So it's just about executing and being there at the end and giving yourself a shot at trying to win the race.
All right, we're going to open up to questions. We will kick things off with Jeff Gluck.
Thanks. Obviously, you'd never won a pole prior to the season. So if somebody told you before this year you'll be tied for the series lead in poles with Kyle Larson entering the playoffs, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I would have told you you're lying. One of the goals for this year, you always set goals, and some are super lofty and some are more of just personal, achievements that you want to achieve. And, one of our goals this year was to get a pole. And last year we had a lot of speed, and I don't know how many times, but we qualified third and fourth and second a bunch of times and even led a lot of the first round qualifying. And then would get beat, by a little bit going into the second round. So it's kind of a personal thing going into this off season of really focusing on qualifying and trying to get a pole. And, it's an important part, I think, of a career and stats, and we've been close. And so, yeah, I think that more than anything is when we went to Daytona and we sat on the front row and we saw how close we were, that was like all right, we're like right there. We just got to do everything we can. And then we came to Atlanta and obviously got our first one, and it's kind of spiraled since then. And obviously predominantly super speedways, right? And I did get the pole at Gateway, but what I'm probably most proud of is our overall qualifying effort. I don't know if it's still the case because Darlington was so bad, but, going into Darlington, we had the best qualifying average of any Ford team for the season, not just for super speedways. And I think we've made it to the second round 12 or 14 times. And so I'm proud of the speed that we're bringing to the racetrack. On the flip side, it's a little bit of a gut check, too, because we haven't got the victory lane and we've had decent amount of speed. But it's hard. It's hard winning races in the Cup Series. And we put ourselves in position several times and haven't got it done. So we still got 10 more shots at it. And that's how we're looking at tomorrow. And that's how we're looking at Watkins Glen coming up. And we have, really good racetracks in front of us. So.
Let's go next to Jerry Jordan.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. Is this team has been around for a long time, and you guys have grown and built. But is this kind of a master class, so to speak, of how you can start from one place and build over time to where you guys are right now, and to be sitting on the pole and to be winning races and last year playoffs, things like that. Is this a culmination, and how hard was it to get here, and what's the next step? I know you're leaving. What's the next step for them?
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, I think it's one of the things that, and it's almost like I want to phrase this correctly. Sometimes I think it's undervalued what Front Row has done and where they've come from in the last 3 or 4 years to what we're doing week in and week out. At the other side of it, it's a compliment that people aren't really that shocked that when we run well or we challenge for wins. So I think that, it's going in a good direction. And it's a tremendous amount of work. It's a tremendous effort by everybody. But, we're still, I don't want to say small. Bob doesn't like when I say small. We're still a medium-sized team, right? And so to do what we're doing not just here, but week in and week out, I think is a real testament to what hard work and dedication and being resourceful and being efficient can do. Because I promise you, we're not spending the most and we don't have the most people. But we have a great group of men and women that fight really hard. And, this next-gen car has given us the platform to do what we're doing, right? And without that, it would have been a really tough road. But from that point forward, we've been in the game, and I think we've done a good job of trying to stay in the game. It's getting harder and harder. It always does, right? Like when you have the big powerhouse teams, they always figure it out a little bit better as time goes on. And you see that with Hendrick and with Gibbs and some of the other teams that are consistently fighting for those wins week in and week out. They've separated themselves a little bit, but we're still in the game. And I think that, this car has given us that opportunity.
We'll go to Ben and then Dominic.
Ben White with Fayetteville Observer and USA Today. 2 steps. Of course, you want to win the pole position each week if you can, and step 2 is the race, of course. What goes through your mind when you sit down in the car and you're prepared to drive the car, and then they give you the signal to go out on the racetrack? How do you prepare your mind for that? I mean, you gotta focus, obviously, to get out on the racetrack and run for a pole, but each time you go for it, how do you focus on those laps on the racetrack?
Yeah, these so 2 parts for these weekends that do not have any practice. You do a lot of preparation, as silly as it sounds, because you're just going around holding it wide open and hitting your marks and your shifts. But because you don't have that warm-up, so to speak, you have to get everything right the first time, right? And so there is a lot of pressure to do that. And so you study and you execute your plan. And then on race day, more than anything is the preparation that you do during the week of, which line you're going to choose if you do get the pole, and which lanes had momentum and what the handling and balance did and how you have to move around. You do all that leading up to it. And then when you get in, you just get laser focused on the task in front of you, and you kind of switch gears. And the switching gears part is pretty fun, because all the way up to the race, you're signing autographs and you're doing interviews, and it's not that you're not in the game, but you can't be. You're not like locked in. And then you get in the car and you click the belts, and like all of a sudden it's a switch. It's like a mode, and you just get laser focused and locked in, and it's a cool feeling. It's an adrenaline rush. And so I don't know if it's the same for everybody. Some guys will probably hear that and be like, what? This guy's taking his job way too serious. But to me, it's awesome when you get in that locked-in zone and you're ready to go. Yep.
Okay, we'll go over here to Dominic.
Dominic Ao, going with the Racing Experts. From your vantage point, what's it going to take to be up front tomorrow, to contend for the win? What do you need to be doing as the pole sitter and starting up front?
Yeah, it's tough when you're the pole sitter, because you're trying to control the race, you're trying to control the runs, but you're also, the sitting duck, right? That people are building runs on and dragging back and building momentum. And so, last time here, I kind of let the first part of that race play out, but wanted to stay near the front in those first 2 rows, right? But you need to learn what your car's going to do, balance and all that. And, we were able to win the first stage here, in the spring race. So I felt like our car drove well and we did what we needed to do. So to me, it's more about just keeping yourself in position. It's not do or die, right? Like it's not a lap 1, lap 2, lap 10. You got to block every lane and every run that's coming. But ideally, you want to keep control of the race as long as you can. But we all know that that's hard for the pole sitter, right? It's a great idea, but it's hard to do without making big moves all the time. And you kind of run out of those big moves eventually. So you try to save them for the end, or at least try to take that approach. So this is one of those races though where handling will matter. It'll matter more so than Talladega and Daytona. We saw that in the first race here. If you're able to take a run and stay wide open and stay committed, you could clear a car and get back in line, where, Daytona, Talladega, it's hard to actually clear somebody like that. So I think there's an extra emphasis on your car driving well. And then when you get down to the end, it's just being in the right spot at the right time with the right push, and hope, nothing around you goes, too far sideways.
And then lastly, on your pole run there right before you went out, how confident were you that you were going to sit on the pole today?
Not super confident. I don't think you ever go into it like, oh, we got this. I knew that we'd have a shot at it. But when Blaney went faster than us that first round, even though it was only by a few hundredths, that it's going to come down to, executing everything perfectly. Where, if you're talking about a 10th, it's hard to make up a 10th. But it's easy to mess up a couple hundreds, right? And so you're nervous about doing your job well to make sure that you give yourself the best chance. I think that, Daytona a few weeks ago, we had everybody covered by more than a 10th, and so it was less nerve-wracking. And then, this one, I felt like it was going to take everything being done perfect to have a shot at it. So, yeah.
Any final questions? All right, we'll end with Lee Spencer.
Lee Spencer, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. We were talking to Carson Hocevar earlier, and he was saying how thrilled he is for you to come over there and help him with the Super Speedway program next year. But as it gets closer to the moment of you parting ways with Bob, is it starting to sink in that the place where you've been and you've raced and you've grown over the last, handful of years, that's going to be changing soon?
No, not yet. I haven't let it creep in. I kept telling everyone we're just focused on winning a race to get in the playoffs. Now we're here. Playoffs are happening, and I've just redirected that focus on winning a race before the season's over. So I haven't really allowed myself to get to that place yet. I mean, it's going to be tough. There's no doubt about it. I mean, this is home for me. It's been home for me. It wasn't an easy decision, as weird as it might sound. I feel like I've already mourned that decision, if that makes sense, when it first happened of, do I really want to do this? Is this, this is where you've been and, potentially could be and could finish and all those things. And so it was a tough decision. It wasn't like I went into it like, oh, here we go, It wasn't a fun decision, right? It's hard when you're that close with people and your team and you felt like you're a part of it. And so I feel good about my decision, though. I don't have any regrets. But I know Phoenix is going to be tough. It will be tough for sure because of what we've done and what we've built here. And it's a different atmosphere than any other race team that I've been to. And we've accomplished a lot together. And obviously they'll continue to go on to accomplish a lot. And they have a great program and great drivers coming into it. And so, it's just Phoenix I'll wait till then to really start thinking about it. Yep, thank you.
Michael, congratulations and good luck tomorrow.
Hey, you got one more. I won't cut you off. I saw you.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
Sorry, Geoffroy Balin, usracing.com, French website. You just equal Bill Elliott with 4 straight pole on Super Speedway. What does it mean for you?
I don't want to come off as saying this wrong, but I think it means a whole lot more to the team, right? Just that we're bringing the fastest car to the racetrack, and it's hard to do. I know that some people will sit there and be like, oh, it's just a super speedway, but the amount of detail and the amount of hours that go into making a super speedway car fast, and the fact that we're doing it better than everyone else right now is a huge testament to what the team is doing and how hard they're working. And these are hard. They're hard to get. It's not easy. So to get 4 in a row is remarkable. And so for me, what's gratifying is just seeing my guys' hard work pay off and seeing how excited they are. And I know that I have the fastest race car to compete with tomorrow in the race. And so it gives me confidence going in there to do my job and try to win the race. And but really proud. It's a proud moment. I think it was a huge moment in Daytona when both cars were on the front row. We were almost there again today. And it's an accomplishment that is not the end-all be-all, right? It's not the greatest thing. Winning tomorrow would be better, but it's still something to be celebrated because of how hard it is to do at the top level of our sport.
All right, Michael, thank you and
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Truck Sales Chevrolet from Woodlands, Texas, Brennan Poole. right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.